Hello people. This is another edition of the series, and we're diving to even more specifics in this series now. I hope you guys have enjoyed what I have covered so far. Today we will cover breakups. Specifically, we will cover the two types, the ones you know have happened and the ones you don't know have already happened. On top of this, we will talk about the emotional state of a woman through the breakup and how she sees things afterwards, because a lot of men are still confused by this. The key video to watch prior to starting this video in terms of background reading, let's say, is Understanding Woman Part 1, Solipsism. The link is in the description and will also be shown on the card right now. Watch it if you haven't already, and then return to continue with this video. I started off by saying that there are two types of breakups that women initiate. There are the breakups that women tell you about and the breakups that women feel but don't really tell you about. However, both of those breakups would be dealt with by women in a very similar manner in terms of their emotional investment towards you. It's just that in the case of the breakup you don't know about, you will simply be wondering if you're not reading the signs as to what the fuck is exactly going on. First off, let's understand that for women there is only one reality, and that reality is their personal and highly emotional perception of the world that we live in. A sunny and beautiful warm day will still be the worst day for a depressed individual, even if it was preceded by a month of rain. Therefore, you must appreciate that objective reality, or your reality for example, do not matter to that woman when she has reached that point. A woman usually starts a relationship very emotionally invested, but as a man loses frame, as she starts to meet men that interest her more than you, let's say, her interest strays away from you and onto someone else, or simply it just strays away from you because she can do better. Women normally have a plan B guy, but sometimes you end up becoming her plan B guy as you are in a relationship with her. You will understand when you become plan B guy when she starts treating you as such. When she's withholding sex, for example, giving it whenever she feels like it, and treating you like shit, as if you no longer matter. That achieves getting you hooked on her, getting you feeling anxious about your relationship, allowing her, in the end, to act as she pleases, whilst she looks for someone else. Guess what? At this point, when you have reached the neediness part, when you're behaving in this way, or once she thinks that she can do better than you, and by your actions you end up verifying it, then she has emotionally broken up with you. It might take her a month, 2 months, a year or two to actually tell you. But if you're dating women who, despite the fact that they've been with you for so long, they're always very, very cold in their approach, these women have already broken up with you. A woman that breaks up with you in her head might still have sex with you, but that would be an infrequent occurrence, unless, you dated an absolute slut and she basically uses you as a dildo. But it will feel quite off. The woman is trying to get what she needs, and she might get it, but she's not really satisfied. I can't really explain it, but it is something like that. There is something wrong inside of you. Even though she's fucking you, she's hating your guts. The other type of breakup is obviously the one where you know about it. The woman has broken up with you, she has verbalized the breakup. There might be tears involved, but that woman has already decided you're not good enough anymore, and she will move on. At this point, I want you to note the following. If a woman has not emotionally broken up with you, and she has done so because you have either cheated on her or done something that she deems unforgivable, and she simply has to move on, she will be emotionally tied up with you forever. The emotional breakup must be made for women in order for them to move on. It's either that or she needs to find another man who for her feels more alpha than you had. If an emotional breakup has not happened, that woman will feel that she belongs to you. That's how her emotions will act out. In this video, we will talk about the emotional aspect of a woman when she goes through an emotional breakup. We'll talk about what goes on in that woman's mind and how she sees you, and that would hopefully help some of you guys comprehend what was happening when similar experiences occurred to you in the past. When that point comes, when a woman no longer sees you as the man you once were, it is almost an aha moment for her. In a moment, everything changes for her. At that point in time, she looks at you, the man who was in her life, as her man, and sees someone she no longer recognizes. She sees in you everyone else, every other man who's unimportant to her, and she sees you as someone who's overreaching in terms of trying to get her affection. I see no other way to describe it other than say that the woman gets emotional amnesia. Suddenly, following that point, she might try to reach inside her to feel the emotions that she once had for you, but there is nothing there. Her hypergamy is no longer satisfied. That means all the emotions that get the vagina wet are no longer there. As such, she is no longer in love, and all the actions that resulted from her feeling that go along with that. What's worse, the emotional amnesia that I'm describing here combines with her solipsism. Very few women have the intellectual capacity of understanding that something has fundamentally changed inside of them. You might find women that cry over the fact that they no longer feel anything for you. You might find women that cry over the fact that they have wasted so much time with you. But most women that you will meet will think that if they no longer have emotions for you, they never felt anything in the first place. Everything and anything that existed with you was a lie. Their inner solipsism would rationalize the experience and the emotions away. Maybe she was confused, you see. Maybe she was young and she didn't know any better. Maybe you manipulated her. But surely, if she as a woman now feels nothing, then she never felt anything in the first place, and only now she's finding that out. All women go through this process, but some end up fighting it. I had one girl that told me that she loved me once, therefore I am a good person, but now she felt nothing for me. She had moved on, you see, and right now I was simply someone that she used to know. And the emotions I used to wake up inside of her are simply no longer there. This is an example of a woman that had way more intellectual capacity than most women. But you see, even in her, if I was going to try and get back with her, then I would have to hit a wall. Even if a woman was to let me try, or even if I was to try and put my best game on, because for some strange reason I wanted to try again with that same person, then the wall would always be there, and it would be incredibly difficult to pass through it. I would say that it's impossible to pass through an emotional breakup, because the woman has already ruled you out. Let me explain this by giving you an example of a psychiatric disorder. In Capgras syndrome, patients suffering with it will look at a familiar face and yet not recognize it because it no longer creates an emotional connection to them. Once a woman has an emotional breakup with you, all the emotions associated with you, the sexual ones, for example, are all gone. Your advancements would cause her disgust. She would feel that you're abusing her, harassing her, and forcing her to do things. Women who are married might try to have sex with their spouses and wake up feeling abused because they have no longer any emotional connection with them. They felt like they didn't want to do it. Therefore, their man must have forced himself onto them. Understand that once an emotional breakup happens, a woman detests you. Emotionally, she no longer recognizes you, and her solipsism rewrites her history as though the emotions were never there. For men cohabitating with their spouses, this is a very dangerous dynamic. I think many of us have gone through breakups, emotional ones, even if we were the ones that pulled the trigger first, as I have done in the past. I personally think it's helpful to understand why it is that women say the things that they say after breakups, why they find it so easy to move on. It gave me clarity, and I guess it helped me comprehend the emotional aspect of a breakup in the eyes of a woman. I don't know what this information might do to you. All I'm hoping is that it helps you understand. That's all I had to say. Thank you very much for listening.